Words of Sri Aurobindo from the book Letters on Yoga from the Collective Works of Sri Aurobindo, Volume 28, Chapter 2, page 24, Topic Satchidananda, Subtopic Consciousness and Force or Energy. Sri Aurobindo says, consciousness is made up of two elements, awareness of self and things and forces and conscious power. Awareness is the first thing necessary. You have to be aware of things in the right consciousness, in the right way, seeing them in their truth. But awareness by itself is not enough. There must be a will and a force that make the consciousness effective. Somebody may have the full consciousness of what has to be changed, what has to go, and what has to come in its place, but may be helpless to make the change. Another may have the will force, but for want of a right awareness may be unable to apply it in the right way at the right place. Sri Aurobindo says, the advantage of being in the psychic consciousness is that you have the right awareness and its will being in harmony with the mother's will. You can call in the mother's force to make the change. Those who live in the mind and the vital are not so well able to do this. They are obliged to use mostly their personal effort, and as the awareness and will and force of the mind and vital are divided and imperfect, the work done is imperfect, not definitive. It is only in the supermind that awareness, will, force are always one moment and automatically effective. Sri Aurobindo says, if consciousness and energy are the same thing, there would be no use in having two different words for them. In that case, instead of saying, I am conscious of my defects, one can say, I am energetic of my defects. If a man is running fast, you can say of him, he is running with great energy. Do you think it would mean the same if you said he is running with a great consciousness? Sri Aurobindo says, consciousness is that which is aware of things. Energy is a force put in action which does things. Consciousness may have energy and keep it in or put it out, but that does not mean that it is only another word for energy, and that it has to go out when the energy goes out, and that it cannot stand back and observe the energy in action. Sri Aurobindo continues to say, you have plenty of inertia in you, but that does not mean that you and inertia are the same. And when inertia rises and swamps you, it is you who rise and swamp yourself. Next subtopic, force, energy, power, Shakti. Sri Aurobindo says there is a force behind every action, acting in a manner appropriate to that action. It takes all these many forms for the necessity of the working, but it is one force. I have never classified the different forms of force. They can be hundreds or thousands in number. Force varies its form according to the work it has to do. Sri Aurobindo says, a passive force has no meaning. Force is always dynamic. Only a force can act on a basis of calm passivity, just as in the material world, the force acts on the basis of inertia. Static and dynamic in reality always goes together. It is in appearance that anything seems only dynamic or only static. In each atom of the being there is an energy, a Shakti, just as there is in every material atom a great material energy. When you see like that, you become aware of these energies. They are neither good nor bad. It depends on how they are used or how they act. Sri Aurobindo says, power means strength and force. Shakti, which enables one to face all that can happen and to stand and overcome, also to carry out what the divine will proposes. It can include many things: power over men, events, circumstances, means, etc. But all this not of the mental or vital kind, but an action through unity of consciousness with the divine and with all things and beings. It is not an individual strength depending on certain personal capacities, but the divine power using the individual as an instrument. It has no special relation to occult siddhis. Force is the essential Shakti. Energy is the working drive of the force, its active dynamism. Power is the capacity born of the force. Strength is energy consolidated and stored. The divine force can act on any plane. It is not limited to the supramental force. The supramental is only one aspect of the power of the divine. The supreme cannot create through the transcendent because the transcendent is the supreme. It is through the cosmic Shakti that the divine creates. Next topic, or rather subtopic, Ananda. Ananda is a thing to be felt. It cannot be defined except negatively, that it is not mere joy but something more, much more deeper and essential. It is the statement of the Upanishad that there is an ether of Ananda in which all breathe and live. If it were not there, none could breathe or live. It is fundamentally true for most people that the pleasure of life, of existence in itself, predominates over the troubles of life. Otherwise, most people would want to die, whereas the fact is that everybody wants to live. And if you propose to them an easy means of eternal extinction, they would decline without thanks. That is what X is saying, and it is undeniable. It is also true that this comes from the Ananda of existence, which is behind everything and is reflected in the instinctive pleasure of existence. Naturally, this instinctive essential pleasure is not the Ananda. It is only a pale and dim reflection of it in an inferior life consciousness. But it is enough for its purpose. I have said that myself somewhere, and I do not see anything absurd or excessive in the statement. Why should the joy of creation be unyogic? Every creator feels the joy of creation, including the divine creator. Chapter 3, Brahman, the impersonal Brahman. Sri Aurobindo says, you speak of the impersonal as if it were a person. The impersonal is not he, it is it. How can an it guide or help? The impersonal Brahman is inactive, aloof, indifferent, not concerned with what happens in the universe. Buddha's permanent is the same. There is no thought in the pure impersonal, it is silent. But it is true that divine truth can manifest in the background of the silence. This is, of course, the truth of things up to the overmind. Subtopic: the inactive Brahman and the active Brahman. Sri Aurobindo says the inactive Brahman and the active personal Brahman are two aspects of the divine. In the Supreme, they are fused into each other, not separate. There are two aspects of the divine, the static peace and the dynamic force. In the end, they unite. It is in the inactive Brahman that one merges if one seeks laya or moksha. One can dwell in the personal divine but does not merge in him. As for the Supreme, he holds in himself the world existence, and it is in his consciousness that it moves. So, by entering into the Supreme, one rises above subjection to nature, but one does not appear from all consciousness of world existence. The immutable Brahman is only a base for the transcendent action which comes down into its peace and silence and fills it with power also and Ananda and the light of knowledge. Next subtopic, Spirit and Life. Sri Aurobindo says, in the sphere of the spirit are only the eternal truths. All is eternally itself. There is no development, nothing realized or striving to be fulfilled. There are no such things as possibilities, therefore. In life, on the other hand, all is a play of possibilities. Nothing is realized. All is seeking to be realized, or if not yet seeking, then waiting behind the wheel for that. Nothing is realized in its highest forms, in its truth or completeness, but all is possible. All these possibilities, says Sri Aurobindo, all these possibilities are derived from the truths above: the possibility of knowledge, the possibility of love, the possibility of joy, etc. Intellect, will, etc. are intermediaries which try to catch something of the hidden higher truths and bring them into life, or else raise life to them, so that the possibilities of life here may become the complete realities that are already there above. These are the words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo.